Hi everyone, and thank you for joining. I'm super excited to share a little bit of my story and hopefully teach you a little bit about everything we've learned through KinoSol and working in developing countries to address food security. So today I'm going to share the lessons we've learned through working in rural communities across Uganda, helping smallholder farmers improve their food security and reduce global food losses. So first, I'm going to go ahead and give you just a little bit of background on KinoSol. So like I mentioned, we're addressing food insecurity, and to do that, we've developed a solar food dehydrator, and we also do a lot of educational programs. So with our food dehydrator, we're really focused on helping smallholder farmers preserve food that would otherwise go to waste, allowing them to use this dried food and support their family in times of no harvest, as well as use it as a source for additional income by selling the dried outputs at local markets or to neighbors or different community members. So in addition to having a product, we also focus pretty heavily on the educational component. There's a lot of education we need to do related to dried fruits and vegetables. While a lot of farmers are familiar with drying grains and beans, drying fruits and vegetables is sometimes a foreign concept. So we do a lot of education around how do you dry it, as well as what do you do with the dried outputs. And then kind of throughout what we've learned along the way, we've also started incorporating basic business training so that we can not only address the challenges around food insecurity and building a business, but allowing smallholder farmers to use the technology as an income generation tool, and also just take away things that they can use in other businesses, whether it's just on their farm or if they run a local shop or do some other type of business. So there's a few lessons that we've learned along the way. We've been doing this for 6 years, so I'm hoping that what I can share can hopefully help you on your journey and maybe take some of the approaches and the things that we've done wrong and avoid some of those mistakes and hopefully scale your business and your impact. So the first thing I want to talk about is taking a community approach versus global distribution. So when we started, we were really focused on how many countries can we get our product into, how many communities can we work with, and what sort of distribution scale can we actually reach. So we were able to deliver our product to over 50 countries around the world, which was really great in the early days because we were able to get a lot of that data around how does the dehydrator work in different environments and different communities. But what we realized is we lacked the infrastructure and we lacked the relationships that we needed with the communities to truly see an impact. So because of that, we've since kind of rethought our approach, and we've taken more of a community by community approach. So we focus specifically in on Uganda, and we work in 5 or 6 different communities kind of across Uganda, but with an emphasis on really focusing in on those communities and trying to help them address not only the food security challenges, but other challenges they may face to help them get to a point of self-sufficiency. And once we've kind of honed in on that model and we figured out really what worked through all of those kinks, we then can take it from there and expand out. So going by community, taking that grassroots level approach is going to be much more effective in the long term. While it's a little bit slower, you actually see a much greater impact and you have the opportunity to build those relationships. So as we've started looking at which communities to work in and where we want to focus our time, one of the most important things is that you need community buy-in. You can think you know all of the problems that communities might face, but unless they're the ones telling you that this is the problem they're facing, you're never going to see any success with what you're trying to do. So there's 3 things that we've really taken to kind of get that community buy-in and make sure the community that we're working with is really a good fit. So first, for each community that we approach and we start building that relationship with, we conduct a needs assessments. So from our standpoint, it's very important for us to make sure that communities that we work with identify food loss and food waste as a problem that they want to address. If they don't think it's a problem, we can deliver as many dehydrators as we want to that community, but they're never going to adopt it, they're never going to see the benefit. So that's why we do these needs assessments. So we sit down and we talk to different community members, we talk to the community leaders, and we start understanding what challenges are they facing and how can we help. So through that process, we're continuing to build relationships. And I think that really is the key when you think about any type of business or any type of impact. It's you want to be relationship and people driven because you're solving a problem for those specific people. And the only way you're going to do that is by building trust and building that relationship. So we may spend 6 months kind of talking to community, building those relationships before we even think about doing community trainings, introducing dehydrators, or helping them kind of think through some of those other business challenges they may be facing. So I think that is super important because you need that community buy-in, you need that local support, and you need to make sure that you have that trust and that relationship built up with them. So kind of the last thing we've taken and used as a model for community buy-in is a train the trainer model. So typically when we do our community trainings, they're about a day-long training focused on not only the best practices for food preservation, but also teaching and incorporating some of those basic business skills. So as we're doing these needs assessments and building relationships with the community members, we're able to identify who are going to be the champions within those communities. We're able to meet with all of the leaders, and we typically do our community trainings with them. So we'll sit down as a team, the KinoSol team, and we'll work with these community leaders and go through all of the training. And then they're able to take it back to their community and disseminate it to other members throughout the community. We realize we're not able to necessarily reach a capacity of 200 or 300 people in one single training because we find that then the quality kind of decreases. So if we aim for group sizes of about 10 to 20, we're able to really kind of hone in on that training, make sure everyone really understands everything they need to. They get to touch, experience, and work with the dehydrators and see the dried outputs. And they're able to then kind of start thinking about how would this best fit into their community. We're able to work with them in terms of understanding the best models for implementation and the best models for distribution, whether it be a one per household, or there may be certain community members who really need a dehydrator and there may be some that don't, or just understanding, how are we actually going to make this product affordable? What sorts of resources and different payment plans or microfinance do we need to look at to make sure it's accessible for these community members? So that's worked really well for us. It's allowed us to continue to build those community relationships. And while we have local staff, which I'll get into in a little bit, it's been able to allow us to really kind of measure the progress of the dehydrators and understand how people are using it because we've taken that train the trainer model approach. So these community members are the ones that are helping us conduct impact assessments. They're kind of checking in on all the community members, making sure they're understanding how to use the dehydrator if they run into any problems, helping us troubleshoot that, and making sure that that implementation and adoption process is moving along at the right pace and smoothly. So one of the next kind of main lessons that we've learned is when we started this, we were all actually based in the United States, in Iowa, and that was a great place to start. But knowing that we wanted to work in kind of developing countries and we wanted to work over in Uganda, we realized how essential and how crucial it was to have local staff members, not only to be there on a regular basis and kind of be in the same time zone to answer questions, help with community trainings, but most of the time our team members here in Iowa, we're only able to get over to Uganda 4 to 5 times a year, which really isn't enough if you want to have an impact. So having that local staff there that can do community trainings kind of throughout the entire year, can be available and speak the native language and help answer questions as they pop up has been really crucial for helping us expand our impact and seeing a huge uptick of adoption, as well as just increasing the overall impact. It also helps us strengthen those local relationships that we're building with the community members, knowing that the team members are also from the local area. So I think that's really important, especially if you're looking at working in a different region or a different country than where you're originally from. It's really important to identify key people on the ground who you can work with, who can become a part of your team to really help your business or your project be successful. So the last thing kind of one of the lessons that we've learned along the way, and I've touched on it a little bit, is really focusing on capacity building. So our initial goal when we started KinoSol was really to address food insecurity issues, but we realized along the way that there's even more of an impact we can make in a community. And a lot of times they're facing challenges not just related to food security, but they may have issues with water quality, they may have issues with education, access to different resources. And so that's why we've taken the approach of not only just focusing on food and food security, but we've continued to expand out our programs to focus on more of a holistic approach. So with our capacity building, not only with our dehydrators, but also with some of the other basic business training and consulting that we do with community members and groups, we focus a lot on working with women and investing our time and efforts to help them grow. We found that by investing in women, we're able to see a bigger overall impact related to local like standards of living, health. Women tend to reinvest everything they're making back into their family. So you're seeing kind of greater returns on your time and investment spent by working with women. We've also found typically women tend to be the ones leading a lot of the local initiatives. So whether it be local women's groups supporting young women, or primarily a lot of the smallholder farmers we work with are women. So that's really kind of where we've focused our time and effort, and we've seen a greater return and a greater payback in terms of impact and just sustainability in the long run by focusing on women. Another thing that we've also done, and I've touched on it before, is we started with really just a product. And we didn't realize how crucial and how important education was to that until we got a couple years into what we were working on. We were getting product out there and testing it. But we've since realized it's important to kind of touch on all different facets of community life. So that's why we've incorporated a lot of basic business training. So we focus on accounting, we focus on how do you do long-term planning, and kind of do that future projection of, I want to be here in 5 years. So what do I need to do in the short to midterm to actually get there? And we found that that's had huge impacts because we have people coming to our trainings and they're learning about the importance of food security and food preservation. And whether or not they use a dehydrator, they're able to take something away from the training and apply it, whether it be to a sewing operation or a handicraft operation or a local market stand. Those basic business skills translate into all different facets of entrepreneurship. They translate into all different facets of life. And so by taking that approach, we've not only strengthened our relationships with these communities, but we've seen our overall impact continue to grow. And I think it's really important that we don't just focus in on one thing. And yes, we could really just focus in on food insecurity, but then you're kind of just looking at a small piece of the problem. You're not thinking about all the other things that are impacting it. And so that taking more of that holistic approach has really proven to be beneficial for us. And we've seen a lot of benefits in the long run. And so kind of with that is just expanding our focus. So whether it be, working with communities that do identify food losses and food waste as a problem, but they may also have other problems like water quality or access to water or infrastructure or education concerns. And so being able to work with them on those issues as well. So taking kind of everything we've learned through building our business and our organization and applying some of those basic principles and helping them think through those challenges, like I mentioned, has not only just strengthened our relationship, but we've continued to see an overall growth in community well-being and community capacity. And so I think that's really important. And for long-term sustainability, it's proven to be one of the key tactics and methods that we've used to see huge success. So because of the approach that we've taken, we've been able to have quite a big impact. So we've been able to help over 5,000 people become food secure. And I think that's not only just through using the dehydrators, but a lot of the trainings that we do as well. And overall, we've been able to reduce the amount of food that goes to waste. So we preserved nearly 700,000 pounds of food that these smallholder farmers would have otherwise just let sit in their field, or they would have lost kind of throughout that entire agriculture value chain. So instead, they're able to dry that food, have access to it in the off season, or sell it for additional income. So we've been super proud of the progress that we've made, and I think so much of it is based on those key relationships that we're building with our community and the approach that we've taken to building not only our business, but helping to really scale our impact. And so by taking more of that grassroots level approach, really focusing in on the community and their needs, and not only being narrowly focused, but allowing us to kind of continue to expand our impact, has proven key and allowed us to kind of get to the place where we're at today. And we're able to kind of see those huge impact numbers starting to really form and come to fruition. So the last thing, if anyone is interested in kind of learning more about our work and what we're doing, I would greatly encourage you to reach out. My email is there. You can also find us on our website. And if anyone's interested in helping bring food dehydration to a community where you live or a community where you work, please reach out. We'd love to work with you so that we can bring this technology and the resources to more communities around the world, because overall, we're on a mission to create this platform of change. We want to help communities be self-sufficient. We want everyone to be food secure. And I think that's super important as we think about where our world is going and how we as young people, as mission-driven people, can really impact and leave a lasting legacy on this world. So thank you. I hope you found something useful. I'm excited to be able to share what we've learned, and hopefully it will help you as you think about putting together your organization, the work that you're doing. Maybe you can incorporate something into it. And like I said, if you have any questions or would love to chat more about food security, don't hesitate to send me an email. I'd love to chat with you.